Get full episodes of The Damage Report as a podcast on iTunes and Android, and you can watch the live show every weekday on YouTube TV. Matthew Whitaker is the acting AG. Depending on who you talk to and when you talk to them, he's either only holding that position for like a week until they can get a permanent one, or he's being talked about as if he's going to be there forever. And whether he is or not, there's huge implications for his approach to the Robert Mueller special counsel's investigation. We know what he thinks about that investigation. He had been very outspoken for over a year now, going on cable news and saying that it was a witch hunt, that it was invalid, should have never been started. It was very clear that that's what he thought. And in terms of his profile at the national level, if you were a person, what would you know about him? That is virtually the only thing there is to know about him. Right. He goes on cable news, he attacks the Mueller investigation. Now he's the acting AG. Donald Trump wants to pretend that he didn't know that. But in terms of how hands-on he'll be if Whitaker does step in and do something in regard to the special counsel's investigation, here's Donald Trump talking with Chris Walls.
Whitaker decides in any way to limit or curtail the Mueller investigation. Are you okay with that?
Look, it's going to be up to him. I think he's very well aware politically. I think he's astute politically. He's a very smart person, a very respected person. He's going to do what's right. I really believe he's going to do what's right.
But you won't overrule him if he decides to curtail.
I would not get involved. And all these people that say, I'm going to end the investigation, they've been saying that now for, how long has this witch hunt gone on? It's gone on for what?
Since May of 17.
Okay, but how long have I been looked at? You know when I've been looked at?
Since July of 2016.
From the day I announced, I was looked at as a candidate with nothing, no proof, with phony people like McCabe and Strzok and his lover. You had Lisa Page, his lover. These people were looking at me. They wanted an insurance policy just in case I won or Hillary lost. And this was the insurance policy. It's a scam. There was no collusion whatsoever. And the whole thing is a scam.
Okay, so whole thing's a scam. We're very clear on that. You said that 100 times. So like if you're wondering if Whitaker steps in, if he either ends the Mueller investigation, if he tries to block him from doing various things, if Whitaker wants to block the report from coming out, will Donald Trump step in? No, he's being hands off. So that is out there. You can now rely on that.
Yeah, but there's some, I guess remote even dishonesty in the lack of accountability, like the fact that appointing him is by just definition getting involved. This person who has been very clearly against this entire investigation and very verbal about that. So if you take that person and knowing what we all know, what he has said, he's gone on, he's been on network saying this, and then you appoint him yes, that's just by definition getting involved. You can't then step away and say, well, I'm not gonna get involved now that I've put him
Well, I just wanted people to understand that by not get involved, he means not protect it, not allow it to continue.
Yeah, right.
So he tries to make the point you saw at the end of that clip. They've been saying, I'm gonna shut it down. Look how wrong they've been. As he says, yes, this guy I picked that we know that hates the investigation, if he decides to stop it, I'm not gonna stop him. So he proves the lie inside of that same clip. He chose Matthew Whitaker, a guy who has no qualification for being in that position whatsoever, but we know his stance on Robert Mueller. He chooses him knowing what approach that guy is gonna have, and then says, well, I'm hands off. Now, there are people who have been trying to hoodwink you about this investigation since day one. They will probably continue to try to do that with Matt Whitaker. Matt Whitaker being brought in is an attack against the Mueller investigation. Whether he shuts it down on day one or slows it down on weeks like 6 or whatever, he is there to destroy it. Donald Trump is being very clear in this clip about that. And so I think that we should understand that, we've come to accept a lot, I think.
Right.
He's not recusing, he's not gonna recuse. This is a ridiculous goofball guy. If you haven't already seen John Oliver's segment on him, this is a guy who was involved in this patent company.
Oh gosh,
they were patenting time machines and genes to make your butt bigger. Like that's who this guy is. He is not some, like Donald Trump can say he's politically astute, he's a very intelligent, very respected person. If he's politically astute, I mean, I guess he knew to go on cable news and attack Robert Mueller. That shows an understanding of the ridiculous political landscape that we live in, to know that you can get a job based off of that. But his intelligence and his respectability, that has not been established. And thankfully there are people trying to stop him. There's a couple of different legal challenges. The latest one is being offered by Senators Blumenthal and Hirono and Sheldon Whitehouse as well. tracks with 2 other recent court actions arguing that Whitaker lacks Senate confirmation required of all cabinet officials. That is an argument that they're making. I don't know 100% if that's going to be able to stop Whitaker from functioning as the acting AG.
Right.
In response, Donald Trump has said, oh yeah, well, Robert Mueller wasn't Senate confirmed either. Well, special counsels aren't confirmed by the Senate. That's not how it actually works.
It would be cool if you knew how things worked, but
yeah. He has previously
can't have it all.
been confirmed by the Senate in his other position, so he has at least gone through that process. Whitaker has never gone through that process. So ridiculous there as well. There's one other aspect of this I do want to talk about. Donald Trump is apparently in the process of finishing up his written answers to Robert Mueller's questions. But what is he talking about? What is he not talking about? Will he actually get into the topic of obstruction of justice? Let's listen.
You are submitting written answers to the special counsel about the issue of collusion, but not on obstruction of justice.
Well, there was no obstruction of justice.
Let me, if I may, sir, just
I think
ask.
they probably agree with that. And all you have to do is look at Article 2.
Is that your final position, that there's going to be no sit-down interview and nothing written or in person on obstruction?
I would say probably. Probably. I mean, I can change my mind, but probably. I think we've wasted enough time on this witch hunt, and the answer is probably. We're finished.
What are the odds? 1 in 100?
I don't do odds. I gave very detailed.
Casinos, sir.
You're right, and very successfully, actually.
Yeah, it went bankrupt. So I'm like, Chris Wallace was actually laughing at him there, so that was a little bit funny. His casinos actually failed. He just rewrites history. Like, yeah, it was very successful. Yeah, and I was a star football player in high school. I mean, in reality, I was on the team for 2 weeks, then I left. But it's nicer if I was the star. So if Chris Wallace ever talks to me, I'm just gonna say that I'm the star.
Right.
There, so I think that even after a couple of years, we still think that we have to approach Donald Trump like he's technically an adult. He's a professional, I guess. But what he said in response to will you answer questions about obstruction of justice had no more intellectual or philosophical like value or weight than, Timmy, did you steal a cookie? I'm not gonna answer that question because I didn't steal any cookies. That is all that Donald Trump is saying there. I don't have to answer questions from the special counsel because I didn't do it. And it's up to me to determine if we've been wasting too much time with this investigation.
Everything
That's how the legal process works.
For him to determine everything. That's, yeah. I guess.
And again, we touch base on this story like once every 2 or 3 weeks. Is that the set of answers that a person would give if they were innocent?
For someone who has so much to say about respect and about just respecting the office of the president, just even that clip is so not presidential or respectful or professional or anything.
Yeah, at least it wasn't about raking.
Honest, at least it wasn't about raking, you know?
Thank you very much for watching this clip from The Damage Report. If you liked it, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and ring the bell on YouTube to get notifications of our new videos. And of course, you can catch the full Damage Report live every weekday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific on TYT Network on YouTube TV.